Welcome, traveler. Tonight, let the shimmering lights of post-war Paris guide you toward calm. You are Etienne Dubois, a quiet bookseller who keeps a small green bookstall on the left bank of the Seine in the spring of 1954. Close your eyes and step into Etienne's well-worn shoes. Feel the early river mist on your cheeks. Smell weathered paper and distant coffee. Hear gulls circling above Notre Dame. Breathe slowly and allow this gentle Parisian day to unfurl around you. The mist rises gently from the Seine as you walk along the left bank. Your footsteps echo softly against the cobblestones, a rhythm you've known for decades. At 63, your gait remains steady, though perhaps a touch slower than in years past. The familiar weight of keys jingles in your pocket as you approach your bouquiniste stall, one of the iconic dark green wooden boxes that line the stone walls overlooking the river. As you reach your destination, you pause to breathe in the morning air, crisp with river dampness and faintly scented with the previous night's rain. The first bells of Notre Dame sound in the distance, their resonance carrying across the water. 5, 6, 7 chimes. It is time to begin. Bonjour, Paris, you whisper, a ritual unchanged in 24 years, since your Uncle Marcel passed the bookseller's license to you. Marcel had secured the permit in 1930, a treasured opportunity in a city where such licenses were rare and cherished possessions, often passed through generations like family heirlooms. With practiced hands, you unlock the first of your boxes. The hinges protest slightly as you lower the wooden panel that will serve as your counter for the day. Inside, your books wait patiently, arranged with meticulous care. French classics nearest the front, poetry collections beside them, then art books, history volumes, and the small selection of international titles in the rear box. The distinct scent of old paper and leather bindings rises to greet you, a perfume more precious to you than any cologne. From your weathered leather satchel, you remove a thermos of coffee blended with chicory, a habit formed during the war years when coffee was scarce. The slightly bitter, earthy taste has become a comfort rather than a compromise. You also extract half a baguette wrapped in paper, still faintly warm from the boulangerie you passed on your walk. You set both on the small space you keep clear at the end of your counter. The river flows steadily below, its surface catching the first true light of day. Across the water, Notre Dame stands sentinel, as it has for centuries before your birth, and will for centuries after your passing. This thought brings you not sadness, but a sense of pleasant insignificance. To be part of something so enduring, the tradition of Paris, of books and knowledge, passed from hand to hand along this riverbank, is enough. As you arrange your merchandise for the day, you move with the unhurried precision of someone who has performed the same actions countless times. Postcards and prints go into their display rack, carefully positioned to catch the eye without risking damage from unexpected gusts of wind. Your small collection of antiquarian maps unfurls into their designated space. The box of inexpensive comics, considered by some of your colleagues to be beneath the dignity of a true bouquiniste, but which you know bring young readers to your stall, is placed within easy reach. From the inner pocket of your wool jacket, worn soft at the elbows, you retrieve your fountain pen and ledger. The day's date is written in your neat, sloping hand. Tuesday, the 13th of April, 1954. Below it, you will record the day's sales, each entry a small memorial to an exchange, a book finding a new home. The city continues to wake around you. A street sweeper passes, his broom making rhythmic scratches against the pavement. The first boats begin their tourist journeys along the river, their captains calling cheerful greetings that you return with a raised hand. Fellow bouquinistes appear one by one, opening their own green boxes, each with their particular specialties. Maurice, with his revolutionary pamphlets and political texts. Claudette, with her collection of avant-garde poetry and art manifestos. Old Henri, with his military histories and medallions. "Ça va, Etienne," calls Claudette from 3 stalls down, her voice bright despite the early hour. "Comme toujours," you reply with a slight smile. Like always. There is comfort in the routine, in the predictable progression of the day before you. By 8 o'clock, the embankment has transformed from its dawn stillness. Students hurry past on their way to the Sorbonne, some pausing to browse, but rarely purchasing this early. Workers stride purposefully toward offices and shops. Tourists, recognizable by their maps and cameras, begin to appear, their voices in various languages creating a gentle cacophony that will swell as the day advances. You sip your coffee and tear off a piece of baguette. The bread is perfect, crackling crust, giving way to soft, slightly chewy interior. A small pleasure, but one you never take for granted. You remember the war years when such simple delights were rare treasures. Now, in this spring of 1954, with rationing several years in the past, you still feel a moment of gratitude with each bite. The first true customer of the day approaches just as you have finished your modest breakfast. A lycée student, perhaps 16, with serious eyes behind round spectacles and a notebook clutched tightly, as if it might contain state secrets. "Monsieur," the boy begins, his voice caught between childhood and the man he is becoming, "do you have a copy of Voltaire's Candide? One that wouldn't be too expensive?" You nod, turning immediately to the section where you keep your French classics. Your fingers dance over spines until they find what they seek, a modestly bound edition. Not a collector's item, but a respectable copy. Its pages clean if slightly yellowed with age. "This one is from 1932, you tell the boy, handing it over. "The binding is sound and the price is fair." The student handles the book with reverence, opening it carefully to examine random passages. You watch with approval. The boy knows how to treat a book. "My professor says we must understand Voltaire to understand France," the student says, still looking at the pages. "Your professor is not wrong," you reply, "though I might suggest that, to understand Voltaire, one must first understand human folly." This earns you a surprised look, followed by a genuine smile that transforms the serious young face. You discuss the price briefly and accept the carefully counted francs, making your first entry in the ledger for the day. As the boy walks away, already reading as he goes, you feel the familiar satisfaction of matching the right book to the right reader. The morning unfolds at its own pace. A pair of younger schoolboys arrive, pooling their pocket money to purchase comics, tales of adventure that make their eyes shine with excitement. An elegant older woman in a Chanel suit spends nearly 30 minutes examining art books before selecting a volume on Impressionist painters. Each transaction is noted in your ledger, each encounter brief but meaningful in its way. As the sun climbs higher, warming the stone embankment, you remove your jacket. The Seine sparkles now, the morning mist long burned away. Boats pass more frequently, their passengers waving to the bouquinistes as if you are as much a part of the Parisian scenery as the bridges and monuments. In a way, you suppose you are. An American tourist approaches, easily identified by his loud sport coat and louder voice. Say, do you speak English? He asks, pronouncing each word with exaggerated slowness. Yes, monsieur, I do, you answer. Your accent present, but your English perfectly comprehensible. During the Liberation, you had practiced with American soldiers who frequented the embankment, trading language lessons for cigarettes and chocolate. The man's face registers surprise, then relief. Well, that's swell. I'm looking for a French phrase book, something to help me get around. My wife wants to visit all these fancy restaurants, but I can't make heads or tails of the menus. You find him a suitable guidebook, one that focuses on practical phrases, rather than grammar rules the man will never use. As you wrap it in paper, you suggest, try Chez Madeleine on Rue Saint-Louis-en-Lille. Tell them Etienne, the bouquiniste, sent you. Their coq au vin is excellent, and the owner's daughter speaks English, if you find yourself in difficulty. The gratitude in the American's eyes is worth far more than the modest sum he pays for the book. As he departs, promising to visit the recommended restaurant, you make another entry in your ledger. These small connections, traveler to local, past to present, book to reader, are the invisible threads that make your work meaningful. By midday, the sun is high overhead, and the steady stream of browsers and buyers has created a pleasant rhythm to the morning. You check your pocket watch, a gift from Marcel when you inherited the stall, and decide it is time for your customary break. You catch the eye of Henri and make a gesture that your neighbor understands immediately. The old man will keep a casual eye on your stall during your absence, as you do for him on alternate days. Locking your cash box and securing it beneath the counter, you set out for your midday respite. Your destination is unchanged for years, Café de Flore, where for the price of a coffee and perhaps a simple meal, you can sit among the intellectuals and artists who have made the establishment famous. You do not participate in their heated debates about existentialism and political theory, but you enjoy the atmosphere of ideas in collision. The walk to the cafe takes you through streets you know as intimately as the arrangement of books in your stalls. You pass shops whose owners nod in recognition, other regulars in this urban ecosystem. The scent of roasting chestnuts drifts from a vendor's cart, mingling with the exhaust of Citroëns and Peugeots that navigate the narrow streets. At Café de Flore, you take your usual table near the window, but not directly beside it, close enough to observe the street life, but removed from the prime spaces that tourists and notable writers prefer. The waiter, Marcel, no relation to your uncle but bearing the same name, brings you a coffee without being asked. The usual, Monsieur Dubois. Oui, merci, Marcel. And perhaps the quiche today. As you wait for your meal, you observe the other patrons. At a corner table, a group of young men with intense expressions and untidy hair gesture emphatically as they discuss what sounds like Sartre's latest essay. Their cigarettes create a blue haze around them, their coffee cups mostly forgotten as ideas take precedence over refreshment. Nearer to you, an American woman is sketching in a notebook, occasionally glancing up to study her surroundings. Her lines are quick and confident, an artist capturing the cafe that has hosted so many of her predecessors. When she catches you watching, you offer a polite nod, which she returns with a smile before returning to her work. Your quiche arrives, perfectly prepared with a delicate crust and savory filling. You eat methodically, taking time to enjoy each bite, while continuing your observation of the human tableau around you. This midday interlude is part of what keeps you balanced. The solitude of your thoughts, amid the communion of others, similarly engaged in their private worlds, while sharing the same space. After finishing your meal and a second coffee, you pay your bill, leaving your customary modest tip. The walk back to your stall is unhurried. You stop briefly at a small stationery shop to purchase a new notebook, your current one nearly full. The proprietor, Madame Laurent, has the exact style you prefer, ready before you even ask. Black cover, unlined pages, binding that allows the book to lay flat when opened. "I set this aside when our shipment came yesterday," she tells you. "I knew you would be needing one soon." These small kindnesses, the recognition of habits and preferences, are the invisible mortar that holds your Paris together. You thank her sincerely and tuck the notebook into your pocket, a promise of future thoughts to be recorded. When you return to the embankment, Henri gives you a brief report. 2 browsers, but no buyers in your absence. You thank him and resume your post. The afternoon sun has shifted, creating new patterns of light and shadow along the stone wall behind your stall. You take a moment to rearrange some books that have been displaced by browsers, returning each to its proper place. A young sailor approaches, his naval uniform crisp despite the day's warmth. "Pardon, monsieur," he begins. "I need a map of the metro. I'm on shore leave for only 2 days, and I don't want to waste time being lost." You find him a pocket-sized metro map and offer guidance on the most efficient routes to the city's notable attractions. The sailor listens attentively, his youth evident in his clear eyes and the way he shifts his weight from foot to foot, eager to begin his adventure in the city. "And if you're looking for entertainment," you add with a knowing smile, "the dance halls in Montmartre might be of interest to a young man on leave, but mind your wallet and your heart with equal care." The sailor laughs, a sound as bright as the buttons on his uniform. "Merci for the advice, monsieur. My mother warned me about Paris girls and picked pockets." Mothers usually know best about such things. You agree, accepting payment for the map and watching as the young man strides away, his gait carrying the slight roll that speaks of more time at sea than on land. As the afternoon progresses, clouds begin to gather over the Seine, their gray bottoms suggesting the possibility of rain. You watch the sky with the practiced eye of someone whose livelihood is vulnerable to sudden downpours. You begin the precautionary measures familiar to all bouquinistes, moving the most valuable books to the back of the stalls, ensuring your waterproof covers are within easy reach. Sure enough, within the hour, the first drops begin to fall. You work quickly, but without panic, covering your merchandise with the practiced efficiency of long experience. Some browsers scurry for cover, but a few determined souls continue to examine the books protected now by clear plastic sheets. Rain is an expected interruption, not a disaster. During this lull in business, your thoughts turn to your private passion. From beneath your counter, you remove a small case containing a foca camera, French-made, a point of particular pride. It had been left with you 3 months ago as collateral for a set of philosophy books by a student who promised to return within a week. When 2 weeks passed with no sign of the young man, you considered the trade complete. The camera is a marvel of precision, its mechanics satisfying to operate. Photography is your secret indulgence, unknown even to most of your fellow bouquinistes. On your days off, you wander the city with the foca, capturing images of Paris that few tourists would think to frame. The geometric shadows cast by the Eiffel Tower on the Champ de Mars, the weathered hands of flower sellers at Les Halles, the reflection of Notre Dame in a puddle after rain. You keep your photographs in albums at home, a private record of your beloved city, as it changes almost imperceptibly around you. Sometimes you think you should offer them for sale alongside your books and prints. But something holds you back. They are too personal, too much a reflection of how you see the world. For now, at least, they remain yours alone. The rain passes quickly, a brief spring shower rather than a sustained downpour. You remove the protective covers and reposition your merchandise. The embankment stones are dark with moisture, and the air carries that particular scent that follows rain in a city. Dust settled, exhaust temporarily washed away, a momentary freshness that will soon yield again to urban aromas. The late afternoon brings a steady stream of customers, workers stopping on their way home, students seeking required texts for their courses, collectors hoping to find treasures at day's end, when a bouquiniste might be more willing to negotiate on price. You serve each with the same attention, neither rushing nor dawdling, matching your pace to theirs. A well-dressed gentleman spends nearly 45 minutes examining your collection of maps, finally selecting a 19th-century rendering of Paris that shows streets and buildings long since demolished by Haussmann's renovations. You discuss the transformation of the city, the gentleman revealing himself to be an architect with a scholarly interest in urban development. The city loses something with each improvement, the architect says, handling the map with reverence. Yet it also gains. Paris is a palimpsest, each generation writing over the last, but never quite erasing what came before. That's why I love these old maps, you respond. They remind us that the city we walk through is just the most recent version of many Parises that have existed. As the sun begins its descent toward the horizon, the quality of light changes, turning golden and lending a particular glow to the limestone buildings across the river. This is your favorite time of day, when the city seems to hold its breath between the activity of day and the mysteries of night. The flow of customers gradually diminishes. You begin the first stages of closing, consolidating displays, returning certain items to their protective boxes. Your ledger shows a respectable day's business, neither extraordinary nor disappointing. Consistency rather than dramatic success has always been your measure of a good day. Your final customer is a regular, Professor Moreau from the Sorbonne, who stops by every few weeks to see what new treasures you might have acquired. "Ah, Dubois, tell me you have something to excite the mind today," the professor says by way of greeting. "My students grow duller with each passing semester, and I need something to rekindle my own intellectual fire." You smile at the familiar complaint, knowing the professor adores teaching despite his protest to the contrary. As it happens, I received a rather interesting collection just yesterday, the library of a retired diplomat. His taste was eclectic, but refined. From beneath the counter, you produce a book you had set aside specifically with the professor in mind, a first edition of Raymond Aron's L'Opium des Intellectuels, published just that year. The professor's eyebrows rise appreciatively. "You know my interests too well, my friend," he says, already reaching for his wallet. As Professor Moreau departs with his new acquisition, the street lamps along the embankment flicker to life, their glow reflected in the now dark waters of the Seine. You make your final entry in the ledger and begin in earnest the process of closing your stall for the night. Each book is checked for proper placement, each display carefully dismantled and secured. Before closing the final box, you place a handwritten sign that reads, "Nouveaux arrivages de livres d'art demain," a promise to regular customers and an enticement to new ones. With the green boxes locked securely, you take a moment to stand quietly by the stone wall, looking out over the river. Lights from the boats and bridges create shimmering patterns on the water's surface. The silhouette of Notre Dame stands dark against the night sky. The day's sounds have softened to the gentle murmur of evening strollers, distant traffic, and the river's constant gentle movement. You think, as you often do at this moment, of your Uncle Marcel standing in this same spot decades earlier, looking at this same view that is never quite the same from one day to the next. The continuity brings you comfort, the knowledge that you are part of something that preceded you and will continue after you. The books change hands, the bouquinistes come and go, but the Seine flows on, and Paris endures. With a satisfied nod to the river, you collect your satchel, now containing your ledger, cash box, and a book you intend to read before sleeping. A novel by Camus that you have read twice before, but return to for its clarity of thought. You begin your walk home, your path taking you across Pont Neuf, ironically, the oldest bridge in Paris, despite its name. Your apartment is small but sufficient in the Marais, a 15-minute walk from your stall. The neighborhood has been your home for 30 years, its narrow streets and hidden courtyards as familiar to you as the books you sell. You nod to neighbors, exchange brief pleasantries with the concierge of your building, and finally, climb the 4 flights of stairs to your door. Inside, the apartment welcomes you with its comfortable simplicity. Bookshelves line every available wall, their contents arranged not by author or subject, but by your personal system, of which books belong together in conversation with one another. A small desk by the window holds your photography materials and albums. The kitchen area is modest, but adequate for a man who lives alone and takes most of his midday meals in cafes. You move through your evening routine with the same unhurried precision that characterizes your days. You prepare a simple dinner of bread, cheese, and cold meats, accompanied by a glass of Bordeaux. You eat at your small table while reading your Camus. The city sounds drifting through your partially opened window, providing a backdrop to the writer's existentialist observations. After dinner, you spend time with your photographs, selecting a few from your most recent roll to add to your current album. Images of children sailing toy boats in the Luxembourg Gardens, an elderly couple walking arm in arm along the Quai Voltaire, morning light striking the gargoyles of Saint-Sulpice. Each photograph captures a moment of the Paris you love, preserved now against the inevitable changes time will bring. As the night deepens, you prepare for bed. You set out your clothes for the morning, a different shirt, but the same worn jacket with its convenient pockets. You check your pocket watch and wind it, another daily ritual unchanged over decades. From your window, you can see a small slice of the Paris night sky, the stars mostly obscured by the city's lights, but a few of the brightest still visible to the patient observer. Lying in your narrow bed, you review the day, the books sold, and those still waiting for the right reader, the conversations brief and extended, the changing light on the river, the taste of your midday quiche, the sound of rain on the cobblestones. These sensory memories are your true ledger, the accounting of a day well spent in the city you love among the books that have been your lifelong companions. As sleep begins to claim you, your thoughts drift to tomorrow. New art books to unpack and price, perhaps different weather to adapt to, certainly different encounters to experience. Yet the framework will remain the same. The comfortable rhythm of a life built around the green boxes on the banks of the Seine. In that space between wakefulness and dreams, you feel a profound contentment. You are exactly where you are meant to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. As consciousness recedes, the last sound you register is the distant toll of Notre Dame's bells marking the hour. a sound that has lulled Parisians to sleep for centuries and will continue long after your own time has passed. The darkness of your bedroom gradually transforms in your dreams to the soft morning light along the Seine. In this dreamscape, the river mist takes on fantastical shapes. Figures from the books you sell drift past you, nodding in recognition. Candide strolls arm in arm with Pangloss, discussing whether this is indeed the best of all possible worlds. The sailors from your customers' maps navigate tiny boats between the bridge arches. Even the characters from the schoolboys' comics perform heroic feats, leaping from one bouquiniste stall to another. You watch these literary apparitions with the calm acceptance that comes in dreams. The green of your book boxes deepens to emerald, then softens to the shade of spring leaves. The books themselves begin to whisper their stories to passers-by, their pages fluttering like bird wings. The dream Seine flows not with water, but with ink, deep blue-black fountain pen ink that writes the city's ongoing story. Notre Dame's reflection in this ink river shows not just the cathedral as it stands in 1954, but all its previous incarnations simultaneously. Medieval, revolutionary, Napoleonic, modern, a palimpsest of time made visible. You find yourself walking along this dream embankment, where the stones beneath your feet are warm despite the morning hour. The people you pass leave brief illuminated footprints, tracings of their journeys that linger before fading back into the stone. Your Uncle Marcel appears, sitting at your own stall, organizing books with spectral hands. The books remember everyone who has touched them. Dream Marcel tells you, they carry fragments of all their readers within their bindings. The sky above this dream, Paris shifts through watercolor washes of blue, the clouds shaped like open books. Time loses its linear quality as morning, afternoon, and evening exist simultaneously in different quarters of the sky. The morning mist rises, while the golden evening light casts long shadows from the plane trees all at once. The dream carries you to a transformed Café de Flora, expanded beyond physical possibility. Its interior now an endless library. Here, the intellectual debates you observed earlier take new form as Sartre argues directly with characters from his own plays, while Simone de Beauvoir challenges the heroines of 19th-century novels seated at neighboring tables. Objects transform with dream logic. Your fountain pen becomes your foca camera. Looking through the viewfinder reveals not just a single image, but countless potential photographs simultaneously. Every angle and variation of light layered into one impossible vision. Your ledger, too, has changed, its weight shifting with the ebb and flow of memory. Opening it reveals not columns of figures, but living illustrations that move across the page, showing not just today's transactions, but those of days yet to come. As the dream continues, you find yourself on Pont Neuf in a moment between dawn and dusk. Below, the Seine flows simultaneously in both directions, carrying not boats, but books that open and close like birds' wings, rising occasionally from the surface before settling back onto the current. The buildings along the riverbank seem alive, their facades gently expanding and contracting with the rhythm of turned pages. Window shutters open and close in patterns that form words, quotations from beloved French authors appearing in a visual language that only dream logic allows you to comprehend. Your apartment has merged with your bookstall, the interior shelves connecting seamlessly to your bouquiniste boxes, creating a continuous library that exists both indoors and outdoors. The boundaries between private and public, personal and communal, dissolve as books move freely between spaces. As the dream begins to dissolve, one final image emerges, your reflection in the Seine. But it is not simply your current self. You see all versions of Etienne Dubois that have stood on this embankment through the decades. The nervous young man inheriting his uncle's stall, the resilient figure during the war years, and your present self at 63, each nodding in silent recognition of your shared journey. As these reflections fade with approaching sleep, a profound peace settles over you, a sense that all moments of your life along the Seine exist together, forming a complete narrative that flows like the river itself. The dream recedes, leaving only a connection to your city, your books, and the eternal river. In these final moments before deep sleep claims you, you feel your breath aligning with the rhythm of Paris itself, ancient yet ever-renewing, familiar yet full of surprises. As you lie in your narrow bed, your eyelids grow heavy. Tomorrow will come with its own stories and exchanges, but for now, you surrender to the gentle pull of sleep. The mist will rise again from the Seine in the morning. You, Etienne Dubois, bouquiniste of the left bank, will be there to witness it. But now is the time for rest. You close your eyes and feel yourself sinking deeper into the comfort of your mattress. The distant evening sounds of Paris grow softer, like a conversation moving gradually away from you down a long corridor. The last bells of Notre Dame fade into the night, their resonance lingering only in memory. The familiar weight of your day, the countless books handled, the conversations shared, the changing moods of the Seine settles around you like a comfortable blanket. You can still feel the early river mist on your cheeks. Though you are miles from the water now, the scent of weathered paper and leather bindings remains on your fingertips, mingling with the faint aroma of evening coffee from the cafe below your window. Somewhere in the distance, a late-night riverboat sounds its horn, like the gulls that circle above Notre Dame at dawn. Your breathing slows and deepens. With each exhale, you feel yourself drifting further from the waking world, carried along by the current of approaching dreams. The shimmering lights of post-war Paris that guided you home now flicker behind your closed eyelids, transforming into constellations of stories yet to be told, encounters yet to happen. Your consciousness floats freely now, untethered from the specifics of time and place. The green of your bookstalls merges with the blue of the river and the gold of evening light, creating a palette that is uniquely Paris, uniquely yours. The rhythm of your breath matches the gentle lapping of the Seine against the embankment stones, constant yet ever-changing, dependable yet full of surprises. In this final moment before sleep claims you completely, you feel a profound calm. Your path alongside the river, among the books and stories that have shaped your life, is exactly where you belong. You are a quiet bookseller who keeps a small green bookstall on the left bank, a keeper of knowledge, a witness to the eternal flow of Paris and her people. And as consciousness recedes, you carry with you the certainty that tomorrow you will once again unlock your green boxes, greet the morning with your unchanging words, "Bonjour, Paris," and continue the gentle unfolding of another day, another chapter in the story of your beloved city.